Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this ASUS N550JK. Alright, so first thing we're going to need is a PH1 or JAS1 screwdriver, and then we're going to remove all the screws from the bottom. Alright, oh, it looks like they might have stripped some of these screws, so this is going to be more difficult than I thought. Alright, actually you want to check what screws your computer's using, because it looks like this customer, they actually had different types of screws. It looks like they had some T5 or Torx 5 screws here, and then they also have some PH1 or JS1 screws. You want to keep all the screws in order because, again, they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that is I remove them, put them with the flat side down on my desk in the pattern I remove them, so you have this rectangular pattern. So I'm not sure what types of screws this is supposed to use. These are T5 Torx 5 screws. You do want to check and see what the screw head looks like. So whoever worked on this before, or maybe screws went missing and then they decided to just replace it with whatever fit. So we got a bunch of random different types of screws. It looks like switching back between T5 and PH1 or JAS1 screws. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and remove all those screws. Looks like their battery's also bad, it's inflated. Wow, yeah, they switched back and forth between screws. I can tell these are the wrong screws because they're not fitting flush with the case. So I don't know how useful this video will be in terms of telling you what type of screwdriver to use. But basically just get a screwdriver set and you can figure out which one to use based on what fits and what works. All right. So I have to keep switching back because some are T5 and some are PH1 or JS1 screws. All right. Hopefully the rest of the case will come out just like normal. Anyways, once you get all those screws out, we're going to lift this cover off. Okay, just like that. It looks like normally there's some clips over here on this side and then some clips over here on this side, so it will be a little bit difficult to remove those. Here you can actually see the battery in here is bulged out really bad, so we're going to take this screw out here to remove this battery. Okay, and then once you get that screw out, it looks like there are other screws too. There's a random screw here that fell into that speaker there. And then we got another screw over here. So hopefully you guys are able to figure this out because, again, you're not going to be able to just follow along. There's this, after we get the 3 screws out from the top of the battery, we should be able to, yep, just lift it out like this. Battery model, it looks like somebody replaced this before, so you'll want to check yours, but this one shows C41-N550. All right, so you'll want to check your battery C41-N550 and see if it's the same. Right, we're going to set the battery aside. You got a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. Let me actually move some of these screws out of the way. Okay, again, this video is going to be a little tricky because whoever worked on this before, they mixed up a bunch of stuff. Anyways, after removing the battery, let me actually, just to be safe, drain the power. So you're going to want to press and hold the power button for 15 seconds just to drain any residual power so that it's safer to work on. If you don't do this, there's a very good chance that you will damage your screen. This one has a screen issue, so we're actually going to be taking the screen out of here, and I'm going to see if I can swap or replace the LCD. All right, so that's been about 15 seconds. Looks like they put an SSD in here. If you want to remove that, there are 4 screws holding this bracket in place. And this comes out just like every other SATA hard drive connector. You just kind of wiggle and pull this out. But you probably will want to take this whole piece out first by flipping this latch up, and then you can pull this whole thing out. You do have to remove this metal bracket. So there's 2 screws up here, and then one, and then after you take this metal bracket out, you can lift this out after removing the rest of those screws. Okay, you got a connector here for the USB board and the SD card slot here. Again, this is a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive or SSD. You can put whatever you want. We got the RAM here, which is 8 gigs PC3L 12800S. So you can put any PC3L 12800S RAM in here. I don't know if they have 16 gig sticks, but usually 2 8 gig sticks is plenty. right? You got the BIOS, CMOS, or RTC, real-time clock battery, whatever you want to call it right there. CPU is soldered to the board. GPU is soldered to the board. All right. Got the keyboard connector down here, keyboard backlight. These have these little slide out mechanisms where you pull that back slightly and then you can pull the cable out. And then I'm gonna push that back in just so it doesn't come loose. Right, fan connectors here, of course. These you just kind of grab with your fingernails, or you can use some small needle nose pliers and kind of just wiggle it to pull it out. Wireless card here with the wireless antennas. We are gonna take that out just because we need to. But yeah, let me clean out this dust real quick and I'll be back. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, I'm back. So cleaned out the fans a bit. Now we're going to disconnect and remove the screen. So first let's disconnect the wireless antennas. So just grab the tails of the antennas and then kind of just pull it up. All right, just like that. You want to be very careful with these cables because they are fragile. The little connectors are fragile. If you bend them, it's going to be almost impossible to put them back. All right. So now let's go ahead and remove this bracket here. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. Hopefully you can see both sides. I'm not going to take out the hard drive because it's a very standard hard drive removal process. So if you wanted to see how to remove these SATA hard drives, just watch some of my other videos where I replace the hard drive. All right, so let's go ahead and remove the 2 screws here. All right, and we're going to remove the 1 screw down here because that's also holding that metal bracket in place. Now that we got those 3 screws out, let's lift this metal bracket out. All right, we'll set that aside. Okay, then you got 2 screws, 2 more screws up here holding the hinge in place. All right, we're going to wait on that one. And then we got this, we're going to disconnect the LCD LVDS connector. So let me zoom in and show this. So to disconnect this connector, you just grab this pull tab here, okay? And then usually it's difficult to just pull it up, but if it comes out, that's fine. Otherwise, usually I'll get my fingernail under the edge on the side here, and then I'll help pop it up that way. Anyways, let's move this cable out of the way. Let's zoom out a bit, and we're going to show how to now remove the screen. So you want to have an area to drop the screen off your desk. So what we're going to do, we're going to slowly open this because now this hinge doesn't have all the screws holding it. So we're going to slowly open this carefully. All right, open it all the way. Then we're going to lay this with the keyboard down. Okay, and then now we're going to hold this screen up with your legs or whatever, and then take all these screws out for the screen. Okay, so got 4 screws on this hinge, and then we got the remaining 2 screws on this hinge. Okay, and you want to be careful with this LCD LVDS cable. You don't want to damage that, otherwise the screen will get messed up. Okay, so we're going to remove these 4 screws here. Okay, got all those screws. And now we're going to remove the last 2 screws over here. All right, so there we go. Now that we got all those screws out, we're going to let the screen drop, and then we're going to lift it out. There we go. I'm going to set this aside now. Okay, let me find a safe place to put this down. All right, so we got the screen here. I got more people calling me, so oh man, getting too many messages and calls right now. I need to get rid of some of this. Oops, what just happened? Over, please. There we go. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna have to remove this piece, and usually this is a sliding mechanism here, so it looks like it was already somewhat slid over, but normally I think it goes this way and slides over to the left. So normally it's locked in like this. What you do is you slide this plastic bracket over to the right, and then you can lift it out just like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and remove these 2 screws in the middle down here, and hopefully after that we can lift the screen out. I'm going to untuck this cable from there. I'm going to untuck the wireless antennas from there. Okay, and then let's go ahead and undo these 2 screws. Hopefully I'll be able to pop this out. The screen actually still works. It's just like a reddish pink color. So if I can't get this out, then I'm not going to force it out because I don't want to damage their screen since their computer is still working. Okay, so here you can see this is kind of lifting up a bit. I think I'm going to have to actually take the wireless antennas out, so let's actually do that just to be safe. So we got 2 screws over here. It looks like they broke some plastic here. Okay, so we're going to take the 2 screws out here for the wireless antennas. Alright, there we go. Now that we got those screws out, let's lift this out. We're going to unroute the wires from here and over there. And then, can we get this tape off somehow? Okay, so I'm going to peel this up here. We're going to use this little plastic pick tool, I think. So I'm just going to try and peel this black adhesive strip here out. Okay. Just so we can get the wireless antennas out of there. Okay, just like that. Alright, I'm going to use some needle nose pliers. Oh, I'm getting more calls and messages. Anyways, we're going to peel this out. Okay, just like this. And then we're going to just move that aside. And then we're going to unroute the wireless antenna from underneath here. Okay, this is going to be a little complicated, so they routed it around like that. Hopefully I'll remember that. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Okay, and now that we got all this out, let's see if we can get the screen out. So here you can see this kind of separates a little. Let's see if we can slide this at all. No. And try with the suction cup. Lift it up and then, okay, there we go. So I use the suction cup to lift it up and then slide it towards the hinges. And here you can see we can get the hinge assembly or the screen assembly out. And here you can see, oh no, I hate this type. So this one, they use an adhesive to stick the screen onto the digitizer. So most likely if you replace this, you'd want to replace the entire screen and digitizer assembly. It looks like somebody replaced this before because this is the digitizer connector. So this is for the touchscreen, and that's how it connects to the motherboard using this cable here running all the way down. Everything actually plugs in through the one same cable. I'm going to see if tightening this connection here will help at all with their color issue. But again, if you're going to be replacing this, you're going to have to replace this whole piece because I don't know of a way to cleanly remove this screen or to replace a new one in here, especially since it's glued on there. Yeah, usually these, they fill like this whole thing with glue and then press the screen on top. So I don't think it's going to be replaceable. Anyways, the screen model number, if you wanted to try that, is LP156WF4-SPH1. If you're going to be trying to separate these 2 layers, you might as well take this whole thing out yourself and then make sure your screen model number is the same. But anyways, I'm going to try peeling this up and just checking the connection here and see if it will help at all. Alright, so I'm using this plastic razor blade to cut underneath this adhesive strip here. Okay. Let's see if I can get a better view for you guys. I have all my screws in the way, so I can't really center this completely. So we're just gonna... Okay, once we cut the adhesive enough, we can grab the tab and peel it up. Okay. Once we got that, I'm just gonna pull this connector out. So you just pull it straight back or down, whatever you want to call it. All right, it's kind of stuck, so I wiggled it a little. And there we go, we got that connector out. Now I'm just going to reconnect it and hope that it was slightly loose and we just couldn't see the loose fit. All right, so we're going to pull that in all the way. Then we're going to get that stuck back down. And then let's go ahead and put this back. Again, this has a sliding mechanism to get the screen in. So we're going to slide this back in. Okay. You can actually see at the top here, there's the little sliding plastic latches. I don't know if you can see because the contrast with the white. But yeah, so we're going to go at an angle slightly like this, and then we're going to slide it up into place. Once you slide that up into place, we're going to drop the rest of it down. Okay. And actually, do we need to slide the sides in as well? Okay, it looks like the sides need to slide in as well. So when you put this, you have to actually get that in, drop it all into place with this gap here. And then while you have that gap, you press down on the whole screen and slide it up. There we go. So that way the entire piece slides in and you get all these sides slid in as well. So yeah, this you would slide like this. You can actually do that without a suction cup. So you saw with my hands. You can also use some tape to do that if you don't have a suction cup or your hands aren't grippy enough. So here you can see where the screw mounts are. You can actually see that they are no longer aligned when you slide it. So there we go. I'm gonna get this cable back underneath if I can. Okay, was it underneath? I don't remember. Oh, I think it was just like that. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and put the wireless antenna board back in there. Okay, so this one went underneath like that. And then I guess it did the same thing. It just went over the top like that. Okay, so get the wireless antennas back in. All right, and we're just gonna hope that that was done right. Oops, okay, I was turning it the wrong way. Make sure you get this facing the right direction. Okay, so get the wireless antennas underneath like this. I was going the wrong way. Okay, get that all lined up, and let's go ahead and put back these screws. So wireless antenna board screw, put that in. All right, get both sides. All right, don't forget the screws for the screen, otherwise it might eventually just fall out. Okay, guide the antenna wires back underneath those little grooves. If you can, it's a little bit tough. All right, there we go. And then get that adhesive back on top if you can. It's not really important, but it's always nice to just have it the way it was. Okay, wrap that back over. Okay, and there we go. Let's go ahead and get this bezel thing back in place. So again, have it start slightly over to the left, I think. And then we slide it, or was it to the right? Okay, starting it over to the right where the wireless antennas are. Make sure it's all seated, and then slide it over to the left. Make sure it's locked in. There we go. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the rest back together. So we got the screen reassembled. Got this, so this antenna is going to go over like that. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this and put that back down on the desk, face down. All right, we're going to zoom out a tiny bit again. And then we're just going to get the hinges back in like that. Don't forget, all the hinges go on this side, but this side we only have the two. Okay. So get one hinge here and here. All right, I loosely fit the first screw just so I could get both lined up, and then we can go ahead and tighten this down. If you want to be extra safe, you can add some blue thread locker to this so that the hinge doesn't come loose at all. They actually have some thread locker already on it. If you don't have it, just make sure that you tighten this really tight. So I'm not putting it right now because I'm most likely going to have to take this apart again, and the customer might want to replace the screen. So we'll see. But for now, let's go ahead and get all of this back in. Okay, last screw for the screen. If you want to be extra safe, you can put this metal bracket back first. That way it has more leverage when you close the screen so that there's less chance of damaging it. All right. So we're going to put these two screws back in as well. Just loosely fit it first so everything's aligned. All right, and the third screw here. All right, now that we got all the screws in, go ahead and tighten everything down. All right, now we're going to close this up. Slowly close this. All right, just like that. Flip this back over, and let's go ahead and put back the remaining pieces. So we're going to reattach the wireless antennas here. Let me zoom in to show this. Okay, so it's very important that you put these in right Oh, I didn't pay attention to which wire was which, but just be careful when you snap them down. All right, normally the black wire is the main one, but I didn't pay attention, so hopefully I'm right. Usually it won't affect it as long because the antennas are in the same spot, but yeah, usually if you can remember, I'll probably rewatch my video and fix it later, but I'm going to put the black wire here for now. Just line up the piece. You'll know it's lined up because if you try and move it around while it's on there, it doesn't move anywhere. Then you can go ahead and snap it down. Same thing with the other wire. Okay, you can see it doesn't move anywhere, and then snap it down. All right, just like that. So here you can see the wires hold themselves in place. Now we're going to reattach the LCD LVDS connector. Just grab this cable, make sure it's completely lined up, and then push it down, click it into place. And there we go. All right, let's go ahead now and put back the battery. Of course, you want to get a replacement battery if your battery is screwed up like this. It should not be inflated like this. Some people were telling me they call it a spicy pillow, but yeah. All right, so we're gonna put the bottom half in first. All right, and then we're gonna lay it down, make sure all the connections are lined up, and then just push that into place. All right, then we're going to get these screws for the battery and put those back in. There we go, and the last screw for the battery here. All right, if you're curious if you need to replace the CD drive or optical drive, or you wanted to replace that with another hard drive connector adapter, you can take this one screw out and then you can actually slide this whole thing out. But yeah, also the power button is on its own separate board, so if for some reason your power button's broken, you can actually replace that as well. And that's pretty much all I'm going to show with this. Let's go ahead now and put the bottom cover back on. Okay, so we'll get the bottom cover, get it all lined up. Okay, and I'm just going to put a few of the screws for now because we are going to have to take it apart later. So let's see, and they also have all these different screws, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, that's pretty much all there is to this model. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share my channel with others. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. I make these videos for a living. These are customer computers. If you've noticed, I haven't been putting out a lot of computer repair videos lately. That's not because I'm making less videos. It's just because I'm actually getting less customers. So hopefully my business won't completely die from making all these videos. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.